What's up, everybody? Jensen Cummings here. Thank you, as always, for tuning in. Today is Best Served Podcast 198, and we're talking working with family with Ami Dia of Le French. Ami, thank you for being on the
Hello.
show.
Hi. Thank you for having me. I appreciate it.
Yes, so you are chef, owner of Le French. You're in Denver, Colorado. Tell
hmm
everybody Le French. What can people expect from Le French if they were to get food from you, or if they were to come to the restaurant?
hmm Well, Le French is located in the DTC area, so it's in Bellevue Station, more precisely. It is an upcoming area where we're trying to make it a destination. It's amazing vibe there, community, neighbors, just amazing, supportive. So our restaurant is a French casual, gourmet bistro and bakery. So we open breakfast, lunch, and dinner, and we also have brunch on Saturdays and Sundays. And we offer pastries, French pastries, and some lot of French fare, croque monsieur, crepes, the classic type of crepes, baked with crepes, and also beurre bourguignon. And due to our background, that's also a little bit more Senegalese, which is West African. We also add a twist of, dishes that have a Senegalese flair or North African spices and flavors. So that's what we do at the French.
I like everything you're saying, and I also get anxiety when you're listing off all the different services that you
I
do.
know.
That is
Yeah.
a long day. That is a lot of shifts to manage. My operator brain just went, "Oh, I feel for you." That's a lot. I think
Yeah.
it's interesting that you're doing breakfast because the French are so committed to breakfast. The lines
hmm
out of a bakery at 5 a.m. to get
Yeah.
baguette is
Yeah.
unbelievable. So I think that's a very important part. And let's talk
hmm
about that a little bit. I want to talk about the French culture. I want to talk about the connection between the Senegalese and the French. But take us back, all the way back. We like to start at the beginning. When did you first catch the hospitality bug? When did you get into this industry?
Oh my! I mean, I was very little. It was a love of food to start with. So I was born in Senegal, which is a small village in the northern part of in a small village in the northern part of Senegal, West Africa. And at about 2, 3 years old, my family moved to France, where I was raised, and I grew up cooking with my mom from scratch. We ate only food that was, bought from farmers market and prepared at home. I went a lot with my dad to Rangis, which is the largest farmers market in Paris, and that's where I learned, looking at fish, what is a fresh fish, what is a fresh vegetable, what is supposed to look like. And I was maybe about, say, 9, 10 years old, and I grew up with that and cooking at 12 years old, like African family. You have to cook, you have the pots, and you
You have
prepare
to
for the.
cook.
Yes, you
It's
have
a
to cook.
requirement. I like
It's
that.
a requirement.
A
Yeah.
couple things strike me with what you're talking about is one, you mentioned the farmers market, and I think that's
Mhm.
very important. In the United States, we go to the farmers market, yet
Mhm.
it's almost like an activity where food is included. Yet what you're talking about, especially in Paris,
Yeah.
fundamental. I mean, it is where you build what goes into your pantry, into your
Mhm.
larder, into your refrigerator. And so touch on that for a moment, just maybe the cultural difference of the interaction that you have with a farmer's market, because it's
Mhm.
not just a cute thing to do on the weekend.
Yes. Yeah.
It's absolutely fundamental to life.
It is. It is part of the life. I mean, at least every city has at least twice a week a farmers market. And we go in the morning, you get ready, dressed up, high heels. It's Paris, right? And we go with mom and we shop for the onion, the vegetables, the fruits, the fish, the cheese, the milk and the eggs. You find all that there at the farmers market. And then you carry all these bags back with your high heels and going up the stairs, and you do that all the time, and it's just part of the life. It's just normal. And we
Yeah.
cannot, I mean, the flavors when you get into the farmers market, the smell of vegetables, fruits, and even now when I go back, I'm amazed. I smell the strawberries. It's very, strong, nice, sweet flavor. Tomatoes. I love the scent of vine tomatoes because it reminds me childhood. And yeah, it's just how you grew up. Yeah.
I think it's important. I want people to like really, really reflect on that because it is such a representation of the seasons, of the land, of the
Mm-hmm.
people, the
Mm-hmm.
products themselves, like really, really connected. Anywhere that you go in Europe, it's foundational. It's where commerce
Totally.
begins in any
Yeah.
community. It's where
Mm-hmm.
conversation begins. It's where family dynamics begin. So I think
Mm-hmm.
it's important. It's very, very different, and we need more of that here. Is
Yeah.
basically what I'm saying. Is we
Yeah,
need
we're
more of it
doing
here.
well. We're
Yeah,
doing well. I mean, and
we
that's
need
where
more.
you build your palate too, because
Mhm.
the sense, how these games, closing your eyes and guessing what you're tasting and things like that. I mean, when you've been all your childhood around things like that, and it's probably the same for anyone who grew up in a farm here in the United States, because you're connected to nature, you're connected to food, and and it's where passion, grows from, I guess.
I think it's
Yeah.
important for chefs too because
Hmm.
the opportunity to taste an ingredient is one, right? It
Yeah.
changes your perception, it changes your palate, to your point. The second is the person on the other side of that
Hmm.
equation, the person
Yep.
that grew it, that raised it, that
Hmm.
produced it, that fermented
Totally.
it, whatever that might be. And when you
Hmm.
taste that product and you get to hear their story, a
Yeah.
dish starts to form in your head beyond if you just buy that ingredient and taste the ingredient.
Totally.
It's
Totally.
it
I
cannot
totally
be more
agree.
true. Yeah.
Yes, totally. It's the same goes to, I tell my chefs, taste your food, taste, taste, taste. So we have everybody in, no matter your pantry, whatever you are, we have the spoons. Everybody taste the food because that's when you connect to what you do. And when you connect to what you do, first you understand what you're doing, and then you connect to it, and then that's where the passion grows more. And I mean, I'm all about energies, and I do believe that that's connected to energy, and that translates to the dining room. Your guest takes the food, and you put love into it, and so that's it. It's a full circle.
That's it. I want to come back to that because I want to touch on one more thing of the childhood.
Yeah.
What are
Hmm.
a couple of the dishes for most of us? I'll speak for myself, but I'm going to
Yeah.
assume for most of us, we don't know what a Senegalese family growing up in Paris is
Hmm.
cooking. I'm very
Hmm.
interested. What are a couple of the dishes that are just iconic in your household?
Wow. Well, Senegalese people love rice. So we have rice in a lot of things. I guess a lot of people in the world love rice, right?
Yep.
We cook a lot of vegetables. So our national dish, Senegalese people are very proud of. It's called chebujen, which is a rice and fish with a lot of vegetables. And so you cook the fish, you cook the vegetables in there. So you're building the broth. Our cooking style is more like a long process of letting things simmer, and then once you do that, you remove everything, and in the broth you add the rice, almost like a paella kind of, but
Yep.
not all the ingredients stay there. So you separate that, and then you have a rice. Whether you do we call it a red chebujen, so with tomatoes,
Okay.
or then your rice would be red, and you have your
Mm.
vegetables, you have lime and all that. It's yeah, that's iconic national Senegalese dish. We are very proud of that. Yeah.
And heavy seafood, correct? Being
Heavy
in its
seafood.
location on the west. And
Heavy
so,
seafood.
yeah, I like
Yes.
that. Rice,
Lot of
seafood, and then a lot of
vegetables.
produce. Yeah, a
Lot of
lot of
produce.
vegetables as well.
Yes. Yeah.
I like all of that. I'm a
Hmm.
big fan of all of those things, and I
Yeah.
like that too, where it's just like taking some of the time, letting it cook for a while. You think of
Hmm.
every culture has a pot of food and a grandmother cooking for
Yes.
hours at a time on a,
Yeah.
say, a Sunday to feed the family. It's one of
Yeah.
the most quintessential things. So once again, yet another culture learning that we're the same. We are
We are the
absolutely
same.
the same. The way that we
Yeah.
interact with food and the way that
Hmm.
we interact with family, it's the same.
Totally. Totally.
Yeah. All
Yes.
right.
Yeah.
Now the
Yeah.
restaurant, you mentioned something that I think is interesting. Taste, 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 taste,
Yes.
taste your
Yes.
food. We say it
Yes.
all the time in the kitchen. And there
Yeah.
you go. Sophie's throwing up banners. Taste your food.
Yes.
Full
Taste your
stop.
food. Yes.
Yet we're so busy in the kitchen. We're just trying to get 30 seconds to the window. Go, 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 go,
Hmm.
go. Fast
Hmm.
pace that we don't slow down and take a
Yeah.
moment to reflect on the experience that the guest is going to have on the other side. How, as
Exactly.
a chef, how do you practically build that into the way that you do things? You mentioned you have all the spoons. I know a lot of
Yes,
kitchens that have a lot of spoons that never get used, right?
yes,
So
yes.
talk about that a little bit.
Oh my gosh. I mean, it was a long, I mean, we're getting there, we're getting there,
Yeah.
and it's a long process. We've been open a little over a year, April 11.
Yeah.
And first when we started, training staff and things like that, and then the staff, of course, changes. It was a restaurant industry in Denver. Every cook wanted to go somewhere else, right? And we finally built a good team, and who's feeling. I became the manager of the restaurant, so that I felt like it was important to connect directly with my staff, and that way to be able to share with them my passion. And
Yeah.
so that's how it first started. And it's a lot of repetition. It's every day I come, I surprise, I do it, we know we're doing it, and then I surprise, I send messages, group messages, reminder of the day, I have this word today, is we're focusing on this word today, we're focusing on that. And then
Right.
so we're focusing on caring this week and next week. And so caring comes with, you care for your teammate, you care for how you present yourself, in front of your guests, how your dining room look like, because to me the dining room should be just like your home. And when you're hosting people, then you want them to feel a good energy, you have each other's back, because your guests would feel it if you don't care for each other. So, and it's for you too. I mean, we've spent so many hours in the kitchen, we spent so many hours in a restaurant, that I feel like, for our own sake, it would be great to just build a place where we all feel safe and happy. I mean, at least a little bit.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think that's important. I love look, we can step back. The whole game is humans and communication. I think I say
Yeah.
that every single episode. It's humans and communication every single time.
Mm-hmm.
So the fact that you're connecting your humans through just a simple communication, like what are we focused on? Like there's so much happening. There's so much white noise. Things are going to light on fire, literally and figuratively, at some point.
Yeah.
We just know that it's the inevitability of the restaurant. Yet we're going to communicate. We're going to slow down for a moment. We're going to taste. We're going to slow down for a moment. We're going to care.
Yes.
Why has that been so important? Because mostly coming up in the industry, it's like, how fast can you go? How much can you hustle and grind and beat yourself to death for the industry, for the brigade? All of those things are fundamental to the way that we came up the industry. How are you able to actually slow down enough to care?
Yes. Yeah. And we all know, I mean, someone who's been in the industry and who suffered through it, because it's a tough industry where, you spend so many hours of work, and then you sometimes don't feel self-worthy. And some are in the industry because they're passionate, but some are in there because they're trying to, that's what they found, and some are trying to prove something. So just trying to pay attention to that. I mean, I have a lot of love and passion for food, for people. That's the reason why, I mean, I went into the food industry, and that's me. Many of us love, it's called hospitality for a reason, right?
Thank
So yeah, so then that goes to me. I don't know when it's not like counting the numbers. We're making this much money. I strongly believe it would follow, but for now, my focus is on making sure that the team is feeling good and servicing the same way.
Yeah, let's talk about that team, that family, both literally and figuratively again. So you work with your sister, right? And I have so much respect for this, because my family has been in this industry for 5 consecutive generations, 120 years we've owned restaurants. I've worked for 3 different uncles. My younger brother cooked with me and technically worked for me at quite a few places here in Denver. And so I understand it. It's the greatest. It's the best of times. It's the worst of times. Absolutely. Having that camaraderie from childhood, you just understand each other. At the same time, you've been doing this your whole lives as well. So talk about how important it is to be able to have a partner that you trust, like your sister.
Well, it's good for me because it's my support, it's someone who knows me. So that's, you turn around, you know that there is someone there. She's not here today because she's in Paris, where she goes, every summer. But if she was here, you would see more of me talking and looking at her because I need her,
Yeah.
kind of approval. So it does help. It does help having that for sure. Yeah,
Uh,
and I mean, we complement each other when it comes to our culinary background. I did more catering, and she worked in the restaurant industry in Paris for so many years,
mm,
and has been in. I mean, she had been in the I mean, around the most, amazing people. I mean, I'm not want to name people chefs in Paris, but she's been around those people, so it's
she's
just
worked in
amazing.
kitchens that we would recognize the names of,
Yes,
and
yes,
hold
many
in
of
high
them,
regard. Yeah, sure.
many of them. Yes, yeah.
Uh, so so this is interesting. I think now the roles are maybe more clearly defined because you mentioned
Hmm.
you've kind of put yourself in the manager position to be able to focus
Hmm.
on the hospitality versus
Yes.
purely on the food side. So it's kind of clear. So I'm sure there's a lot of coalescing, but
Oh
she's back
yeah.
of house, you're front of house as
Yeah.
far as like your major focus goes. Before this, had the two of you worked in restaurants together, or owning this restaurant together was the first time you'd worked together?
This is the first time we own something together, but
Okay.
we traveled a little bit together. Our biggest, longest trip was in Brazil, where we spent 10 days and we did different, cities in Brazil, Sao Paulo, San Sebastian, and Porto Alegre, and just doing cooking presentation. But it was her invite. She invited me because she traveled a lot. She was called in South Africa. She went to Israel and
Wow.
different places where she cooked. And this trip she had done many times, the trip to Brazil, and she invited me this time to go with her. And was like, okay, how is it gonna
Here,
go?
here we go.
We have strong personalities, the two of us. My mom was somewhat worried, but we had a great time actually, and we loved it. Yeah,
I think
but
that's great.
yeah.
Who older sister, younger sister?
She's my younger sister.
Okay, got it.
Yes.
I'm just
Hmm.
the family dynamic is so fascinating to me. So I'm like
Yeah.
putting the piece. Okay, I see
Yeah.
how it plays out together. So let's talk about the restaurant specifically a little bit
Hmm.
more. You mentioned a couple of the dishes that people can expect. Beef bourguignon, absolutely classic, right?
Uh-huh. Yes.
The crook sandwich, legend, right? We know this because we came up cooking kind of haute cuisine, French style
Hmm.
cuisine in culinary school. Yet for
Hmm.
you, these aren't just dishes that were in our on cooking book, right? They're not
Hmm.
just dishes that you learned in school. These are dishes you grew up with. These are
Oh
dishes
yes.
that
Yeah.
are so personal to you. So talk
Hmm.
about the specific foods. Like if I get the beef bourguignon, is
Hmm.
it to the letter? You mentioned the Senegalese. Where and how are you putting your spin
Yes.
on such iconic dishes?
Well, some of the dishes are really classically done because when we opened the restaurant, a lot of people know French food. So it was like, well, we want the French food, so we want the authentic Boeuf Bourguignon, we want the authentic croque monsieur, the crepes that are served here in the US. And so we had to somewhat compromise and do
Wait,
those.
wait, wait. I want to touch on that. The crepes that are served here in the US. Go there. Look, feel free to
Yeah.
say we do a garbage job of cooking French food in this
No,
country. That's
no,
okay if
no,
you want to say it.
no,
Because
no,
I
no.
agree. Having been to Paris, having been to Lyon, Saint Etienne, one of my favorite food cities
Yes.
anywhere
Hmm.
in the
Hmm.
world. I'm fascinated in the fact that like we kind of know, but we don't. And I just think it's our connection to the products, the people,
Hmm.
the history of it, where it's
Yeah.
something that we know how to cook. It's not
Hmm.
necessarily something that we understand. So I want to take the opportunity for have you like really break down a crepe. What
A
does it
crepe.
mean? What should we be looking for, thinking about? What can we shift our expectation because it's
Uh-huh.
very different.
Well, in France, when you go to Brittany, where the crepe is originally from, Bretagne, so you won't have any savory crepe. You'll have a galette, so which is made with buckwheat, and so it's gluten free, naturally gluten free. No need to advertise gluten free, so anyone can have it. And so it's egg, milk, salt, buckwheat flavor is just amazing. So that's what's used for the savory crepes. And it could be folded, it could be open with, the filling, open face type with the filling in the middle, and then you have a little bit of greens and things like that. I've noticed here the palette is that's a little somewhat. We received some reviews when we first started that said that the crepe is grainy. It's a little. It's not what's supposed to be. That people know what the crepe's supposed to be.
Ooh, they're
So
telling you what it's supposed to be. That you had to take a lot of humility to take that feedback, I'm sure.
it's fine. I mean, it's fine. It's just what it is. It's
Mhm.
not a big deal. You only know what you know, right? So
Very good. Yeah,
yeah.
a crepe is not a thin pancake.
Mm-mm.
That's
Yeah,
one way
no.
that people have described it. It's not a thin pancake. It's a very
Yes.
different batter. It's a very different style. It's a very different consistency.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I think that's an interesting dynamic. The other thing that was interesting to me seeing the two is we put so much filling into crepes
Mm-hmm.
that
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
there's no crepe left. Like there's
Yes.
no, it's basically just holding together a ridiculous amount of savory or sweet. So
Uh-huh.
balance is something that feels a little lost. How are you
Yes.
thinking about that when a lot of times the fillings or the toppings are accents to that natural buckwheat because it's grown 3 miles from the restaurant?
Mm-hmm.
That's
Yes.
why that
Yes. Yeah.
buckwheat crepe is so important. So how are you thinking
Mhm.
about that from the way that you're balancing that dish as a whole, besides just the batter itself?
Well, I mean that we follow what we're supposed of what we know. I mean, so we do use our buckwheat. We use our butter to associate the flavors in the buckwheat, and then we use French jambon. So for the ham and cheese, we use a petit jambon and Gruyere cheese. So these are all flavors that's supposed to kind of balance each other, and that's how we do it for when it comes to the savory crepe. And then we do the sweet crepe. Like often the savory or sweet is done here, which is with wheat flour, so white flour, and that's how sweet crepes is supposed to be done. I mean, that's how it's used to be done in France, at
Yeah.
least.
I had no idea
Yeah.
we were going to go so deep into crepes, but I think it's just important because it's not just the crepe, it's the way that we interact with food. It's the way that we think about what food is supposed to be. Sometimes we
Mm-hmm.
assign way too much expectation of something supposed to be this versus that. So what it is it represents a people, it represents a place, it represents a time in history,
Totally.
and being able to
Totally.
reflect that is important. And so the way that you're cooking a dish is a reflection of you and your
Mm-hmm.
sister and your
Yeah.
mom and Senegal and
Yeah.
Paris and the farmers market. And
Totally.
I think that's
Totally.
very important. Let's
Yeah.
these last couple minutes. I want to touch on the team that you have that is able to kind of deliver on this. You cannot
Mm-hmm.
do this by yourself,
Oh
even though
no.
sometimes we think that we are superhuman in restaurants. You can't
Yeah.
even do this just you and your sister. Let's touch
Mm-hmm.
on a couple of the other people that you're lucky to have as a part of your team, as a
Oh
part of
yeah.
your extended, slightly dysfunctional family, like the rest
Yes.
of the family.
Yep. Yeah. Well, I have an amazing team, and particularly, I would like to do a shout out to Jeremy Kettler, who's my sous chef. He's amazingly committed to this restaurant. Puts in so many hours, and he's a hardworking guy. And I'm just amazed. Every now and then, I just sit and I think about it. I'm like, wow, 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 wow. Yeah.
Lucky,
Yeah.
lucky, lucky.
Yeah, because I mean, sometimes people would think, oh, it's talent, but there are so many things that make a person in the kitchen. It's not just like younger chefs or I would say ego maniac people would say, oh, I can do this thing, I can do it that way, I can do this. But then the humility, the commitment, there are so many other things that are important, and that's what I look at. So Jeremy is just the package for that. He's just amazing. He's
Yeah,
yeah.
the commitment stuff. The reason, couple things. We are so about acknowledgement on the show, and I'm so excited that I know Jeremy is going to watch this, listen to this, and instant smile on his face saying, "Thank you for appreciating me." And you say, "No, no, no. Thank you
Mm-hmm.
for
Yes,
the
yeah.
commitment that you've made."
Oh
I
my,
also
yeah.
want people watching this. There are millions of Jeremy Kettlers in our
Mm-hmm.
industry that do amazing work that don't get the acknowledgement, that don't get
Mm-hmm.
the recognition, and right now are definitely struggling. So Jeremy Kettler, you and everybody else
Yay.
out there, you matter. Like, you are the bedrock. You are the lifeblood of this industry. And so I want people to really know that. And to your point, there's somebody else who might be more talented. You can be
Mm-hmm.
the most committed to your craft, to your
Exactly.
professionalism, to the work that you do. And nobody can ever take that away from you. So I really appreciate
Yes.
you
Yeah.
point
And
that out.
that's why he's my sous chef. So there is no, yeah, that's why. No
That's it.
question. Yeah.
All right. Who's somebody else that we can acknowledge for a moment before we wrap up?
So the other person is Cuco. We just love Cuco. He's
I
just
don't know Cuckoo, but I
amazing.
love Cuckoo.
Oh my, if you come to the restaurant, I would
Yeah.
present you to Cuco because you would love him. He's just, we would have that smile and then keep doing what he's doing. So he makes our French onion soup now, which is, I think, the best French onion soup. It's all vegetable broth. But the way that it's cooked, it's a lot of passion. It's cooked for long hours. And I see him now. I used to do it and he saw me make it and now he took over. I see him do it. I'm like, wow, he's there for like, it has to get to that color, and then I see his body language and his passion, and that just makes me happy. Yeah.
Makes me
And he,
happy. I just
yeah.
I can see it. It makes me so happy because I know exactly what you're saying. The
Mm-hmm.
moment that you get the caramelization of that perfect place where they melt
Yeah.
into each other and you say that is perfect.
That.
And I really
Oh
like this
yeah.
on vegetable broth. A lot of people cheating with bouillon cubes to the point
We
where it's
don't.
like salty
Yeah.
beef flavor and it has
Yeah.
a lot of flavor. I don't know that it's the
Mm-hmm.
right flavor. So I really appreciate that because it's a lot harder to go all vegetable and get the depth,
Mm-hmm.
richness, and umami. I'm so
Yeah.
happy. I also love that you said Cuco started on dishwasher and prep, and I
Mm-hmm.
started as
Yes.
a dishwasher. So many of us do, and we
Oh
sometimes
yes.
forget where we came from. We sometimes
Mm-hmm.
forget like the dishwasher is the most important person in
Oh,
the
he
building.
is.
Their
Yeah.
work touches every guest. So I really appreciate that you wanted to highlight somebody that makes amazing French onion soup. That's
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
clear why that's valuable. Yet the
Yep.
fact that they start as a dishwasher and work their way up, that also
Yep.
is so, so important.
Yes, I love that. I'm excited about that. I mean, everyone in a restaurant is important from the host stand to the dish pit. Every single person is important. And I'm not saying that just because I'm here. That's just what I am trying to let everyone know. We managed the restaurant. I was in the kitchen. So, and then I became a manager. I had to learn the front of the house very
Yeah.
quickly. And what I saw was like, different ways of seeing things in the front of the house, some kind of selfishness, kind of. And
Mm.
I decided that's not the restaurant we want to have. And if you, it's it. Sometimes when I say, hey, you need to have each other's back, hey, can you do this? And then I've had some situations where a person says, it's not my job. I say, no, it's your job. Because, if you pour water for this person or if you do something, the customer, the guest would be happy. And then tomorrow, what happens? You never know. That person would come back for you, and you be the server. So it's a full circle, and it's just the vibe that I want to have in this place is everyone to know we are all a family. It's a family business. It's a family-owned business. It's not a corporate place. So it's not managed the same way that it's a real connection. I need everybody to connect. It might be cheesy, it might be whatever you want to call it, but I really want us to connect, guys. Let's hug.
I like it. All right. I'll get you out of here. But one thing occurred to me, which was interesting because I've also worked front of house because I wanted to be better in the back of house. I
Mm-hmm.
absolutely believe that time spent in the front of house breeds respect for the work that happens on both sides of the
Yes,
equation. And
totally.
you're able to kind of translate the miscommunications that happen quite a bit.
Mm-hmm.
Have you seen
Yep.
that play out? Do you feel like you understand the kitchen even better or the
Oh,
restaurant as a whole
totally.
because of your
Totally.
interaction with the guests? Yeah.
Oh yes, totally, totally. And I try to make sure that my team, actually I have a very good team. And now they all, I mean, front of the house, back of the house, everybody is just a family. So which is a good thing. And I knock on wood that stays because this industry, the turnover is so fast. And we try to train people and let them know who we are, what we do, and hopefully we're able to continue that.
Yeah, you keep communicating your why. You keep communicating about caring for this week. I think you
Yeah.
will absolutely. It's not going to be easy.
Yeah.
We all know that,
Yeah.
uh,
Yeah. We know
but
that.
but I really appreciate it. Ami Dia, thank you so much for being on the show. Thank you for sharing. I am
Thank you.
excited for the work that you're doing because that kind of commitment to the people. It's what it's going to take to continue to evolve and come out of the pandemic, come out of
Totally. Totally.
the shortcomings the industry's had for a long, long time,
Yeah.
and create what's next, because I think it's important. We need leaders. So thank you.
Yeah. We're all in this together. So thank you so much for having me. Thank you.
All right. I mean, I'm going to wrap with the audience real
All
quick.
right.
We're going to let you go. Thank you so much. Have a great day.
Thank you. I appreciate it. You too. Bye-bye.
All right. Ami Dia, chef owner, La French, Denver, Colorado. Definitely check it out. Crepes. Look, I'm always going to find some strange rabbit hole to go down. Having had a multitude of different crepes, it's a very different experience. And so I think it's fascinating how sometimes we're thinking about a product and we think we know what it is. And I think the fact that they are, trying to stay true to what a crepe means to them is pretty important. Sometimes we kind of lose track of that. We always want to be listening. We always want to be paying attention to the needs of our internal guests, our team, like we mentioned, the external expectations of our guests, customers, the market as a whole, yet also being able to communicate the why this dish represents. We went to Brittany, like we went to an exact place where they grow buckwheat, where they're making those dishes, and that's what you're trying to represent. And the more you represent that, the more people will trust you in delivering a product that may not be exactly what they've expected before, because they've had some other version of it. So I think that's super important. All right. Working with family. I know it well. I have so much respect and love for it, and I understand the challenges of it. So I appreciate this. Working with family and best served 198, you guys. We're getting to 200. I'm really excited about this, and I'm so grateful that you all have given us a moment of your time to listen to anything that we have to say, because it's just about sharing those human stories. And this channel, Best Served Hot, we are focused on hot food trends, unique foods, emerging cuisines. But as always, we're focused on the people that bring us things that we haven't experienced yet. That's what matters. Once again, that's it for today. Appreciate you as always. Cheers.